Summer Lee is being attacked. She was attacked in her primary. She's being attacked right now. Let's put this clip up. Earlier this year, a pro-Israel PAC sent nearly $3 million. So David Sirota, so I'm jumping ahead of myself. David Sirota of The Lever did an article. He went and he interviewed Summer Lee, who is the Democratic nominee in this race. And he interviewed her one-on-one. And he caught up with her to talk about how AIPAC and others are pouring a lot of money into this race to help the GOP candidate. They poured a lot of money into the primary as well to try to defeat her, but she was successful. I believe she won by about 400 votes in that primary. Now she's going head to head with the GOP candidate, and AIPAC is at it again, helping to fuel and finance the GOP candidate. So let's put up some of what David had to say about this. Earlier this year, pro-Israel Super PAC spent nearly $3 million attacking Summer Lee in the Democratic primary for Pennsylvania's 12th congressional district, running ads claiming she was a bad Democrat. Now, sisters and brothers and family and friends, keep the clip up. I can relate to that because it is similar to what DMFI and other groups like AIPAC did to me, that I wasn't loyal enough, that I didn't kiss the ring enough, that I didn't worship the Democratic Party enough. All of this sounds so familiar. So they're claiming she's a bad Democrat. Now the same group is spending big to defeat Lee in her general election race against a Republican. Sirota goes on to say that the United Democracy Project, which has been bankrolled by powerful pro-Israel advocacy group, America-Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, and conservative billionaires recently put more than $1 million into TV ads attacking Lee, according to data from Ad Impact. The group has also spent about $80,000 on mailers opposing Lee. So when Sirota traveled to Pittsburgh to sit down with the Democratic nominee, and he wanted to ask her, or he did ask her, why did she think that this was happening to her? And Summer Lee put it this way. She said, I can't find no other answer or reasoning. She said it was because she was a Black progressive woman. Okay, that's what she said. Amen to that. I can relate to that. And then she went on to say, I can't find no other answer or reasoning but for the fact that progressive Black women in these spaces pose a threat to corporate interests and to corporate power. And these are Republican billionaires who are worried about their bottom line. That's coming from Summer Lee, the Democratic nominee in the 12th congressional district. Ray, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I always say our politicians are bought and sold, and I think people have sort of a misconception about what that means. Because when I say that, I think a lot of people conjure up the image of corporations or rich individuals, billionaires, putting money directly into the pockets of our politicians, which happens, but they don't have to do that. All they have to do is put a bunch of money into a super PAC and send that towards the politician's campaign, because campaigns cost money. You need money to run. You need money to make yard signs, to put out mailers, to have targeted ads on social media, to have commercials playing on local news stations. It all costs money, which is why grassroots candidates have such an uphill battle to climb, to fight, because they're taking small dollar donations from the real people who really support them. But the corporate candidates are being massively funded by these super PACs, by these corporations who have a vested interest in getting them elected so that they can carry out their will through their puppet politician once they get elected. So, a lot of people might think they're getting money straight to their bank account, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can just go straight to their campaign, and they can do it because the Republicans successfully packed our Supreme Court with right-wing justices who made the disastrous Citizens United decision to allow this kind of disgusting corporate money into our politics. Corporations are not people. They should not have free speech. And money isn't speech the last time I checked, but according to the Supreme Court, it is. So because of this, right-wing plan that was decades in the making, they've been able to just completely decimate what little democracy we have left in this country. But that doesn't mean that you stop fighting. You keep donating to the politicians that you want in office, who are going to represent you. Donate your time if you can't donate your money. But the fight's still here. We got to keep fighting, even if we're up against the giant that is corporate money.
That's it. I mean, time, talent, and treasure. We can't give up. As long as we live, we got to continue to fight, because that's what they want us to do. They want us to give up. but we cannot give up. We must continue to resist, and more money should not give you more speech. Now, Sirota asked, I think, what is a very important question here. He asked several, but this one hits at the heart of it. Do you think it goes beyond the Israel issue? In other words, is this about Israel? And this is what Summer Lee said. She said, I would never be able to speak on whether it's an Israel issue because none of their complaints against me in their $1 million ads have ever mentioned Israel once. I can relate to that. The same thing happened in the Ohio 11th district. None of that. It talked about being anti-Israel. It was all about not being as loyal to the Democratic Party, and also went into some anti-blackness as well, Ray, colorism at the same time, not really giving a damn about the struggles of the people right here in Northeast Ohio. It was just to get their favorite politician, their puppet politician elected. There it is. And so in fact, Ryan Grimm of The Intercept laid it out quite nicely. In fact, DMFI, mainstream Democrats PAC, and the American Israel Public Affairs Committee has spent so much money that the question of Israel-Palestine now dominates Democratic primaries. Now, why should that be the case? What should dominate the primary is what the needs of the local people are, not the needs of some other folks who are pushing for foreign entities. It is what do the people in Pittsburgh need? What do the people in Cleveland need? What do the people in Chicago need? And et cetera, et cetera. But instead, because all of this money is allowed, it becomes the interest of the most money. So although these groups come hardest at Black progressive women, I'm talking about real progressives, not just people who use the name because it's popular. And I'm talking about freedom fighting progressives. They also have their sights on others too. They came after Senator Bernard Sanders, who is Jewish, who did lose relatives in the Holocaust. They came at him. They also came at another, and that was Congressman Andy Levin. While Levin, a former synagogue president, describes himself as a Zionist and opposes BDS, the Michigan politician has frequently clashed with the pro-Israel establishment over his criticism of the Israeli government, including the recent introduction of legislation that would, among other things, condemn Israel's settlements while placing restrictions on US aid to Israel. Now, they came at the congressman like that and they were victorious against him. And all he's simply saying is freedom and safety and peace for Israelis and freedom and safety and peace for Palestinians. And we gotta have that for both people to be able to live good lives. You gotta have it. But they poured money in to defeat him and they were able to do that. I think Jen Perlman, an activist and host of her own podcast, framed it quite nicely here with this tweet. AIPAC's mission is to establish a corporate theocracy. We warned you when Nina Turner and Andy Levin got sandbagged. Now they're sandbagging Summer Lee to help the GOP win the midterms. Remember this in the future when a Dem candidate is funded by AIPAC. And the last point I want you also to know is that they're also funding and helping Republicans who denied the results of the 2020 presidential election. So again, we need real campaign finance reform in this nation. We need people, both activists and people in the elected ministry, to stand up and fight groups like this who are going in to attack people just because they are standing up for the interests of their constituencies. This is not right. What is happening to Summer Lee is not right. What happened to me is not right. What happened to former Congressman Andy is not right, and a whole host of others. We didn't even scratch the surface on this. I need you to be aware, and I also need you to fight for your interests, because other people are coming into these districts fighting for their interests, and they don't care about the interests of the local people.